In this video, we are going to build a blog with authentication. The technologies that we are going to use in this video are first, Elixir language, second, Phoenix framework, third, Postgre database, and fourth, POW as an authentication library. That being said, let's get started. You can see over here that I have opened the terminal, okay, and the Phoenix framework or a Phoenix is already installed on my computer. So to create a new application, I need to type mix phoenix.new and then name of the application. Let's call our application, for example, pointer. Okay, so this is the name of the blog that we are going to give. I mean, sort of like a, the product name instead of giving the general name like blog, right? And you see over here that the name of the application are in lowercase. Let me type let me hit enter, and this will create, for example, you can see over here that a dozen of file for us, and then they will going to ask us to install the dependency, and let's say yes by pressing a Y and hit enter. Now it will going to install the dependency for our application. There are two type of dependency that are going to be installed for us. The first is Phoenix dependency, and it will take like 1 minute or at max 2 minutes based on your internet connection, but it will be done within a maximum 2 minutes. Okay, but the second type of dependency that I will going to show you the in just a few seconds, and the second type of dependency are the the front end dependency. It will take a time. So let me show you. Let's wait for no dependency message to come over here, and then I will pause the, for example, video over here. Okay, meanwhile you can see over here that this command is currently run, and what this will do is it will install the Phoenix dependency. Once the dependency are installed, then it will going to compile this dependency, and then it will going to install the front-end dependency using a node and npm. I'm going to pause this video because it will take maybe like a couple of minutes. So let's meet after the installation is or the dependency are installed. Okay, so the dependency are installed and they have provided us a couple of steps that we need to follow. For example, they have asked us to go inside the created folder. So let me do it cd then pointer. Okay, then what they have asked us to run this command, but before that they ask us to configure the database and in this file. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to open this application in text editor, and then we will going to configure this file as they have mentioned. So let me go ahead on other desktop, and first thing first I'm going to open the editor. For now I'm going to use the Sublime text. Okay, I do not have any specific reason on why I will going to use the Sublime text. I will going to use it because it is a lightweight. I will going to use other text editor in a future video, and again there is no specific reason why I will going to use that text editor or this text editor in application. So just 1 second, let me uh, open the application on Sublime text, because there are a couple of folders that are open on my system and I do not want to show you those folders. Okay, uh, so pointer, and yeah, look like it is now open. So over here, okay, so let me go back to the uh, terminal, and they have asked us to modify or configure the database in this file within a config folder and dev.exs or the Elixir script. So config and then dev. Okay, when they ask us to configure, what they actually mean is to take look over this configure the database part. Okay, by default the Phoenix assume that the username for the database is a Postgres and the password is the Postgres. If this is not the case, you need to change over here. For example, in my case, I recently changed my password to something simple so that I do not accidentally expose my real password. So for now, this is the password on my computer, and I am good to go. So username is correct, password is correct. Okay, so now if I run this command, so let me copy this command and paste it over here, and let's wait for this command to run. I mean, it will not take more than a couple of seconds. Okay, so what this command will do is, you can see over here, but anyway, I will going to tell you is that this command will run the migration. Okay, and uh, in our case, when we just created the application, this command will create a database for us, and name of the database is already mentioned over here, the pointer underscore dev. Okay, so back to the terminal, and they have, as I mentioned, they have created a database for us. Let me show you the database, or we can confirm that the database created for us or not. So I'm going to use one GUI tool for accessing the data from the Postgres, and that will easy for us to access, right? So just 1 second, I just open it, and now let me share the screen over here. Okay, uh, go ahead and let me copy this database in over here. Okay, what happened? Okay, over here, let's change the database to the one that we just have created. Let's click on the connect. If the database is created, it will going to connect the the database, and you can see over here that the pointer underscore dev is connected. Okay, so I think the database is created. That is good. Let's put this on the side. If we need it, we will going to uh, use it. Now go back to over here. Now what they ask us is to run this command, or maybe you can run this command. For now, let's run this command. Let me copy this command and paste it over here. What this command will do is it will run the Phoenix server on the port 4000. So let's wait for a server to wake up and then run. Okay, so as they have mentioned, you can open this URL on a in a browser. So let me open the browser, Firefox. Okay, and just 1 second. Okay, so okay, I just opened the Firefox or and I just opened the Firefox with this URL localhost 4000. And if you are seeing this welcome to Phoenix page, that means the Phoenix is installed correctly on your computer, the dependency are installed correctly on your computer or for the application, and the application is running correctly. uh, if you are considering that we are going to build the application in couple of steps, then this is the first step that we just finished. Okay, so the application is created and it is working fine. Now in the next step, we are going to build a resource or a CRUD application around articles, because what blog will contain is articles, right? You can read the article, you can see the list of articles, and if you are a person who manage that blog, then you can edit, delete, or update the article, right? So in the next step, we are going to create the CRUD application around the articles. Okay, so let's do it now. uh, let's talk about the application. Okay, so as I mentioned that we are going to build the blog application, and if we think about the blog, then it will have an entity such as articles or a blog post. Let's call it article in our case. Okay, So we need a capability to see the particular article, to see the list of article. If we are the person who is managing the blog, then we should able to edit, update, or delete the article. So we need a couple of pages for the mention operation, and we also need to write some logic. Okay. But the thing is, we are not going to write all these pages and the logic from the scratch. Instead of that, we are going to use a generator or the gen from the Phoenix framework. Okay, so it is something like run one command and it will do the CRUD application for us, or it will create the CRUD application for us around one particular entity. In our case, it will be the article. Okay, so back to the back to the terminal. Let me terminate this current process. I need to type couple of twice the control C, and it will uh, close the server. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write mix then phoenix.gen.html. So what that means is we are going to use the Phoenix generator, and we are going to generate the HTML or the resource for the couple of pages like view, template, and all those things around one particular uh, entity, right? And in our case, it is an article. Okay, so you need to write couple of things over here. For example, first you need to write the name of context, then you need to write the name of controller, for example, and then you need to write name of the database. Name of table, and then followed by the list of uh, column that this table will have. If you forgot this part, don't worry. Just remove all those things and type only mix Phoenix Gen and HTML or without any option. Press enter and you will going to see the helpful information uh, over here. For example, here is the information that like if we are going to go with this, we need to type accounts. What accounts is, for example, context. Okay, so account is a context, and context is sort of a confusing concept for me. I mean, not because it is actually confusing, because it is about the project that you are going to create. Okay, and you know that we are going to create the project in a different domain, and each and a different domain have different criteria as well as the different modules. So defining context in exact term is something that is hard, and that's why I'm saying that it is confusing. But don't worry, uh, we will surely talk about this context in a future video. I promise. I'm going to do some fun around it. Okay. So as they have mentioned, first you need to type the name of context in a plural. Again, the first letter is capital. Then you need to type, for example, the resource that we need to generate, and that is, for example, over here. Again, in a singular, and then the first letter is a capital. Then the name of the, for example, data table. Okay, so table will be in a small case and plural, and then we need to type the, for example, over here like the fields that this table will going to have. If we talk about in our case, what will be the name of context? For us, we are talking about article, okay, or the blog post. So we can be fancy about the naming the context, but as the official documentation, let me go ahead and open that official document. So first open this phoenixframework.org website, and then for example click on this get started button, and this will open the documentation for the Phoenix and for the current version. Okay, just scroll down a little bit and you will going to see the context. Click on it and click on this top. If you scroll down, then they are talking about thinking about the design, and where it is. Okay, for example over here, right, as they have mentioned, like the naming the context is hard. Okay, if you find confusing, if you haven't clear about the logic, you can go with a like this. You can go with simply a plural form of the resource that you are creating. For example, in our case, we are creating article, so it will be the articles for us. So back to the terminal. Let me type the mix phoenix gen.html, then again articles. Okay, the resource name is article, but the singular one. The table will be article or in a smaller case and plural. And then we are now going to define the couple of fields that this table will have. For example, title, right? The title of article, it will be the string, and then we will have content, it will be the text. Apart from this, there are three other columns will automatically going to created for us. The first is the primary key with the name id, and then inserted add and updated it as a timestamp. So uh, let's press enter, and what this command will do is it will create some required file for us, so that we don't have to worry about writing the logic or the repetitive code for resource. So you can see over that the controller is created, template and the view is created, and here is the one thing, the migration is created. What this migration is for, it is for the the table. The name of the table is articles, and it will going to have this column. Okay, and apart from this, you will going to have three more column like just we discussed. Okay, after that, as they have mentioned, we need to follow this two step. First, what they have asked us is to include this resource in your router file. Okay, so this router is located at the lib, then pointer underscore web, and over here. So let me go over there, lib web, and over here you can see that the router is here. Now what they've asked us is to, let's copy this over here and go ahead and over here this is the root route, and at the and below it I have just pasted over here. Okay, so the first thing is done. Next, what they have asked us is to run this command again. As I mentioned earlier, what this command will do is it will run the migration, and in our case it will create the table. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've just pasted this command over here and press enter. And what this will do, I'm repeating this again and again, I know. Okay, so let's wait for it. uh, okay, so the migration is created, and you can see that the create table articles. Okay, let me open this the postbird GUI, so that we can confirm that the table is created or not. So let me take back uh, that window over here, so that you can see that over here the article is created, and then here is the one more table that is created by Phoenix, and we do not have to worry about. Okay, but the thing is article is created. If I click on this, what it is going to do is it will going to show me the structure, and you can see that id is primary key created for us, and then there are two more fields like inserted add and the updated add. Okay, so these are the three columns that I was talking about previously, and the title and content, that's what we have provided, right? So let me close this again, or put it on a other uh, uh, desktop. Okay, so this is done. Now let's run the server again. Makes phoenix dot server, press enter, and what this will going to do is it will going to run the server. So let's wait for it. Yeah. Okay, so let me open the uh, browser. Let me reload the page so that we can confirm that there is no any other error. And if it take time, we need to know that there may be. Okay, so it is taking time, and That is because the front end stuff, or the front end files are compiling, are now they are compiled, and over here you can see that the page is open. Okay, so the newly created resource is available at slash articles. If I click on this, it will going to open the listing page for the article, and you can see over here, right? And we can confirm that the all routes for this particular resource is available at the slash article. Okay, when I say resource, what it means is couple of a couple of routes. Let me show you those routes. Okay, so let me duplicate the tab, go inside the uh, folder, and the name of the folder is in our case pointer, and then I'm going to type mix phoenix.routes, and what this command will display is a list of available routes on this in this application. And you can see over here these are the uh, list of a route created for us as a resource, and slash article slash, for example, to see the whole list of article. This uh, this is for seeing one particular article and the remaining. I assume that you are already familiar with what is resource, and what are the what are the routes that are created when you talk about the resource and all those things. Okay, back to the terminal. Let's click on this new article, and let's type, for example, title. What we're going to call it, hello what. Okay, I have just written over here, so hello what. This is the new blog. This is the new blog I just created. Save, and for example, the new article created for us. Okay, I know it is a little bit slow, but the new article is created. You can see the title and the content. Back, and it will going to display the list of articles. Let's click again new, and then we're going to call over here career. Okay, this is about the current openings at our forum. Let's hit save, and again the new article is created. I mean, you can type big content over here, but this is just for the example, because in our future we are going to create interesting application than this boring one. And if I now open the database again over here, and let me click on this content, you will going to see that there are the two entry within the article table as expected, right? So go back to over here, let's click on the edit, and let's press one, and then hit save. I just want to show you that the edit functionality is there, so functionality is there, new functionality is there, and yeah, the article is updated and the message is displaying correctly. uh, Back to it, and we will going to see the list of articles. So this is the second step that we just completed. We created the application. Now we created for example, all things that are required around the important entity in this application, and that is article. We can create the article, we can see the article, we can edit, and we can delete the article. Now in the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to add the authentication. Okay, so let's do the authentication now. So as I mentioned earlier, in this application we are going to use the POW authentication library. Okay, so let me open the website for this library POW, and let's click on the get started. And it has a nice documentation, so in order to follow uh, in order to implement the authentication in our application, it is quite easy because of the good documentation that they have provided us. Okay, so from the first, let's start. Okay, so first we need to add this line in our mix.exs file. Okay, so what this will do is this will add, let me go over here, mix, at the end let's type the comma, then paste and save. Next we need to run this mix deps.get. So this will install or the get the dependency. Okay, so let me close this let me so I just terminate the running server so that I can install the dependency. Mix deps dot get or mix dependency get. So when you type this, it will going to check the existing dependency that we have already installed or not. If those dependencies are installed, it will going to check for the other dependencies that are installed or not. In our case, what it will going to do is it will going to fetch the dependency that is particularly about and related for the power. So let's wait. I have a slow internet connection, so for me it might take a I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So let me pause the video and then we will continue. So over here, you can see that these are the dependencies that are already already there and are unchanged. The new dependency as the POW was installed, and we are now ready to go with it. Okay, so back to the documentation. What they have now asked is to run this command. Okay, so let's copy this command and let's run in a terminal. Press enter, and this will the install the necessary file as they have mentioned on the documentation. Okay, and as they mentioned, this will going to install this file. For example, you can see all that the user.ex file is going to be created, and apart from that the migration is going to be created. What this migration basically do is it will going to create a user table for us. Okay, so user table in a database. Go back to the uh, a terminal. So let's wait for this process to complete because again I have a really slow internet connection. Okay, okay, so the required operation is done, and as they have mentioned that a couple of files are created for us, and there are a couple of steps that we need to follow. For example, there are 3 steps. For example, the first is first step, second, and 3 steps that we need to follow. Okay, so let's do it then now. First thing first, within a config file we need to copy this code snippet. So let me copy this and go ahead within a config and config. Okay, so before the last line I'm going to paste uh, that code snippet over here. So we just complete the step number 1. Very good. Next, in the endpoint we need to copy this line. Okay, so let me copy this line, and as they have mentioned just before the last line. Okay, so first within underscore web folder, and we need to open this endpoint.ex. So go ahead and over here, see, scroll down to the bottom and just before the last line. That is correct. And anything I'm missing? No. So we just complete the next step, and finally in the third step we need to register the routes. Okay, so back to the editor, open the route file as we already have opened this file. Now go back to the, for example, terminal. So first we need to copy this where we are going to use this dot router. Okay, so let me copy over here, and then let's copy this scope. Okay, so let's copy this scope just after the pipelines but before all the routes. So in that case it will be over here, I think. So let's copy over here and let's see. Just one second. Back to the terminal. Yes, I think we are done with the steps or the changes that we need to follow after the command is command run. Okay. So first we updated this config file. After that we added entry on the endpoint, and finally we register the required possible routes. Okay. So back to the terminal. If I now type Phoenix or mix Phoenix dot routes and press enter, I should see more routes. Why? Because we now added this pow underscore routes, and these are about like registration, user registration, and the user login. Okay, and I think yes, you can see over here these are the uh, these are the new route added with this step. Okay, so back to the documentation, and as they have mentioned this, we need to follow these steps we already follow, and as they mentioned, that's it. So we follow 3 steps, and authentication is set up in our application. At the end we need to run this application, or we can run our the makes acto dot migrate command, and what this will going to do is it will going to migrate the last migration file, or the file that is created with this authentication library. And in our case, as we already know, that it is all about the user table. Okay, so let me run the migration. If you do not run the migration, if you start and run the for example server, you will anyway going to see the error, because in an application, if there is a migration which is not uh, executed, or which is not run, then you will always get the error. Okay, so you can see over here that the user table is created. And now back to the documentation. As they have pointed out, this is the URL from where you can create the new user. Okay, so instead of opening this URL directly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this link at some convenient place. For example, over here, like what no then has done in his video. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's replace this two with for example registration and login. But if the user is currently logged in, then what we're going to do is we're going to display the email of the login person and sign up option. Okay, so but before that, let me start the server. So mix Phoenix server. Let's run this, and over here. Uh, One more thing before we go further. Within a template, you might not see the pages that are related with the uh, you know that are related with the login and the registration. By default they are hidden from us, but if required we can get it back. And let's see of the documents and what they have mentioned. Okay, so here is a command. Run this command and you are going to see the required templates in our case, because Phoenix has a concept of templates than just a view. Okay, so even though we just started the server, let me terminate it. Let's run this uh, this generate a command to get these templates. Okay, so it will basically do is it will inject those uh, pages over here. But as they have inject these pages, we need now update uh, this code snippet that we have added in a config file. So let me open the config file over here. As they have mentioned, let's copy this file. Let's copy this line, sorry, not file. Add the comma at the end and paste it over here. Okay, so if you see now here that pow is added over here. Previously it was not there, and now here within this pow you have pages for the registration as well as pages for the login, and they call it session instead of login, as you are already familiar if you are coming from the for example from the Rails. Okay, so back to the terminal. Let's run the server Phoenix and server. Okay, I'm sorry. So over here, this is coming from templates, then layout, and then app. And you can see that here is the navigation, and getting started is here, and live dashboards. So these are the uh, two links that we are seeing. So what I'm going to do is, let's remove this to li, save it. I do not have this registered sublime, so that's why that pop-up normal comes. And let's see if server is running. Okay, we still need to wait for a few seconds so that those front end files are compiled. Okay, here it is. So files are compiled, and now let's confirm this by reloading the page so that we can see the updated navbar, I mean the empty navbar, because we have removed this two link from here. Okay, so over here what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the condition. For example, if, okay, pow dot plug dot current underscore user, I'm sorry, it's a user. Let's pass the connection because we need to pass it, and else, else, and then at the end let's end it. Okay, so this is the line that will check if the current user is registered or not. If it is a register, you can write code over here for the registered user. Okay, so this is something that you can use to check in a view that in a template that the user is registered or not. If it is registered, what I'm going to do is first li, let's add the li. I'm going to, for example, print her email. Okay, and the information about the current user is available within a current user and dot email. Okay, so if I go over here, reload the page, then over here it will going to see the email, but no, we are not seeing. Why we are not seeing? Because the the user is not registered. Anyway, back to the here, and if, and the next will be if the user is registered, we will going to uh, add another link for the logout. So we are going to use the link helper. The name will be sign out, and it will going to take us to the routes dot, and over here what we need to write, actually forgot. So what I'm going to do is open the duplicate uh, tab, go inside the project that we are working, and then what I'm going to do is mix Phoenix routes. Okay, and now uh, from here where it is, okay, so pause session. Okay, I'm going to use this. Pause session is for logout, so copy it, uh, paste over here. Let's pass the connection as the first argument, and second will be the this one, the action. Okay, so I'm going to pass that here, and in case of delete we need to pass method, sorry, method here, delete. This is okay, but these two things are not going to display over here because we are not currently registered, right? So what we will write over here will going to be registers, will going to be display. So for this we are going to display for example registration, and it points to the, okay, let's close this, otherwise I will forget. And routes dot, for the registration in a terminal we can see that about dot registration, and then over here at the rate con, then the method will be new, and let's add one for the login. Okay, and for the login I will going to call it sign in to routes dot, okay, just one second. So registration is here for the uh, over here. Let's copy this and uh, back to here. Let's paste it, con, then again new, because uh, it's about the login, right? So over here, just 1 second. Okay, so link are there. Let's click on the sign in and it will going to open the uh, sign in page. But as I mentioned, we haven't yet have the user, so let's click on the registration and let's do the registration for the user. So let me copy the key and the example.com, and I'm going to type the password 1234567 8, and for example 8 1234567 8, and let's register. Okay, so once we press the register, the user is now registered, and you should see the email ID and the sign out option over here. Let's click on the sign out, and what it will do is it will sign out the current user from the page, and it takes back to the sign in page. Let's click on this again and let's type the correct password for this user, and if that is the case, then I think we just implemented the authentication system in uh, a Phoenix application. So consider this as a third step. We just completed. First, we initiate and run the Phoenix application. Then second, we just created the CRUD application, or the created an application of a particular entity, and then now we added the uh, authentication. Now what I'm going to do is uh, going to connect this post I mean articles and the user. Okay, so now in the step 4, let's do it. Okay, so we can connect this article and a user table by making a relationship between these two tables. And one way to do is, for example, adding a user ID to articles table. I mean, it is quite obvious that, right? Articles would be created by one particular user via his or her user ID. Okay, so the thing what we need to do is, first we need to create a migration, and this migration will add, for example, user ID column in the articles table. So let's do it. Go back to the terminal. Let me close the server, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a migration file. Okay, so to create a migration file, I need to write mix, then ecto, for example, gen, then migration. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to type a name, I mean the interesting name, I mean, sorry, not interesting, but a useful informative name, so that I understand what this migration is stand for, and that is in our case, for example, add user ID to articles, right? So what this will do is this will create a file with this name and the timestamp before it, and in that file we need to write a few lines of code, and that will add, for example, a user ID in articles table. Migration are placed within a preview, then repo migration, and over here you can see that the add user ID to article, right? So within a div change, we need to type, for example, first alter, okay, then table. Over here we need to type the table name, then do. Okay, and within this, what we are going to do is we are going to add under user underscore ID, and this is a the prime foreign key in this table, and the primary key in a user table, so we can manage this reference runs sorry, my mistake, therefore runs to users table, right? And let's make the null to false. Okay, so this is how we can create, or I mean this is how we can add a new column in an existing table. We are not going to directly touch the database in any possible way. Let me go ahead over here and let me type, for example, mix to migrate, and this will migrate, and this will run the migration, I mean the remaining migration. Okay, so let's wait for it. And okay, so we are getting over the an error over here, and you can see over that column username id contain a null value. What that mean is, uh, uh, let me show you what I mean. Over here we have articles, right? We have article tables, and we already have a couple of article in this table, and for example these two. But now we are trying to adding a relationship, and we mentioned that the user id should not be null. But what we need to do for these two, right? So in that case, uh, either we need to do something, I mean that I don't think we can do it. So what I'm going to do is, first let's delete this, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is truncate table. Let's do it. Okay, and truncate. So the article is there as it is, but we removed those two articles. And now let's try to do it. And that's how you should do, because instead of making the foreign key as a null value, we should remove those testing articles, because we anyway have the articles that are specifically, or that are mainly created by the user, not the orphan articles, right? Now let's run the migration again, and let's wait for this to run. Okay, so the migration is executed, and let's see this in again postword, that it is added or not. Let me click on the other, and then go back to over here, and now here it is. We can see that the user id is added. Like if I click on the structure, you will going to see that the user id is added. Not just the user id, but you will going to see the foreign key constraint over here as well. So I think the migration is created, and now so table are connected with each other. Okay, so these are about the table. Okay, so these are about the table, but we also need to mention the same thing in a code, so that code also know that there is a relationship between the is a two table, and it should throw some error when we try to add article without, for example, logged in user or the user id. So let's do it. uh, Back to the text editor, we need to click on lib. Okay, and the things that we are talking about, like adding some relationship between the two, for example, entities, are sort of a business logic, and so that's why this should be go inside the pointer table, sorry, pointer folder, not within underscore web folder, because that's how the Phoenix application is structured. So within a pointer table, let me click on the articles, and let me click on the article. Okay, so over here I just open it, and over here we need to mention, I mean we need to mention that this article this article belongs to user, right? So we need to write belongs to, for example, user. And how we can access this article? We can access this user by like pointer. Okay, so name of the application, then let me click on this and see. Okay, so here is the line or the name of the module we need to use. So now the article belongs to the user, and user is a singular, not a plural, right? And the name of the module, so that Phoenix know where we are, from where we need to fetch the user related information. It's sort of a model, but they are not using that model name, so that's why we need to type like this. Okay, uh, after that, what else? uh, we need to make the same things on, for example, the user side as well. Okay, so on the user side, what we need to do is we need to uh, um, for example, user has many, right? So let's type has many. What it will have? Many articles, right? User has many, you can read like this: users has many articles, and article can be, let's copy this, and name of the year. This is how we can manage the relationship in a code. Okay, apart from this, back to the article, what we are going to do is we are also going to type over here, for example, user underscore id. Okay, so we are going to cast the user id, and we are also going to do the we are going to validate the user id. What that means is, in simple terms, this genset do sort of a validation and filtering part. And in our case, what we are need to do by adding the user id over here is that for us, while creating a new article, user id is must required. Okay, so with while these changes are updated, let's go back to the terminal, to the browser. Let me open the articles page. Sorry, articles page. Let's open the article page, and we should not see. Okay, looks like error. Okay, I forgot to start the server. So let's start the server over here. And I don't know why it is taking a time on my computer, because this is not normally is happen to me. I mean, this is now happening in a while creating a video. So until it is it is not completely compiled, we need to wait for it. uh, so back to the browser, and so it is done, I think. Let's click on and try again, and we should see the page, I mean the listing page for the article, and we should not see any article over here. Before I go further, I would like to sign in so that we can test that requirement. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, it sign in, and it also take back to the home page. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, now let's go to the articles, and here it is. Now let's click on the new article. Again, we are going to create the hello world post. Okay, hello there, new blog. Let's save it. Okay, so we are getting this error. I mean, what this error is pointing out, that there is a something goes wrong. Please check the error below. But over here we are not seeing any error. The reason why we are not seeing any error, because let me show you what I mean. uh, within for example, pointer web, and then within templates, then within article, within for example form, what we are doing is, if something is wrong with the title, we are displaying the error for the title. If something goes wrong with the content, we are displaying the error with the content. But we haven't write anything that is about or related to the user. So although error is occurred, but because of we haven't write anything anything to display that error visually, we are not seeing any problem over here. But that doesn't mean the error is not there. And we know, because of those relationship we just added, the error is we haven't passed the user id. So what we need to do is, while creating the article, we need to pass the uh, uh, user id, and that can be done by adding the a few lines of code in, for example, article controller. And because that's from where we are creating the article, and here is the method that create the article. So what we need to do is, we need to write some code. Okay, so first thing, uh, uh, title and content are already there in our article params. What we need to do is, we need to add one more param within this uh, variable. So what I can do is, I mean, you can be disagree with me, or you might have some other way to add the new param in this variable. Please suggest me if you find one. Okay, so for now I will going to like add user underscore id to article params, and we can do this by, okay, so this first article, and then what I'm going to do is map dot put. What this will do is, it will take the existing map, and then we can add the key value. For us, the user ID is the key, and then we can get the current user ID by pow.plug.current underscore user. Then we need to pass the con, and this will return all the information about the particular user. But we are currently interested in the ID, so I just pass the ID over here. Okay, so this is now updated with the existing params as well as the user ID. Go back to the page. Let's do not resend this instant. Let's reload the page. Click on the new article. Now over here, let's type the hello world. And a new blog from me. Let's save it. Okay, so the article is created. Okay, and even we can confirm this in a database that the article is created by the given user. Let me click on this article again, and let's click on the content, and you can see that the hello word is added, and over here the user ID is there, and that is the one. And if I click on this, it will going to show me the information about the related records, and in that case it's a user. Let's close it. So looks like the relationship is working, right? What is next? uh, at this moment, you know, the purpose that we are talking about, like we can create a blog with the authentication. We can uh, I mean, the purpose of the application is satisfied, but still we are going to do a couple of more things, right? A couple of more things so that we can make it as a useful, not at a production level, but useful blog. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, remove this, at this moment. If I copy this and open in a new uh, private window and open this over here, I can able to edit or maybe add a article. It should not be, right? User must need to log in order to edit or create a new blog post or delete, right, articles. So in that case, it is time to hide some uh, pages. So in next step, that's what we are going to do. So to protect the route, we can take a help from, for example, a Power library, because it has a quite useful helper for us. So let me go back to the Power documentation, and let's see if we find it or not. Okay, so here it is. uh, let's create a protected pipeline. Let me copy this because that's what we need, and we are going to put it in a router file. So back to the text editor. Let me click on the router, and where we should put it. Okay, so here, after the, so in that way we can have the pipeline next to each other. And then what they are asking us to is to create a new scope over here, and this new scope should go through the browser and the protector, and over here we will have our protected route. So let me copy this. Okay, so back to our text editor, and where should I put it? Over here. Let's say I put it over here, and instead of my app, for us it will be the pointer app over here. And what are the protected route? This resource is the protected route. So let me copy it here and paste over here, right? So these changes are in our application. If I go back to the for example, this page, and let me reload this page. So what it will going to do is it will take us back to the login page, because in order to access this page or any other page that are the part of article resource, those are now protected, so you can't open this page. And let's wait if I am okay. The terminal is okay. Sometimes it take a time to just reload this, but I'm not sure why it is happening now. Okay, so you can see over that while I was trying to open the article page, but it take back to the sign in page, because those are now protected now. But did you notice this is problematic? Because what I mean when I say protected, what I mean is I want to protect uh, for example, create, update, or delete things, right? Not view part. I mean, users can be able to users should able to see the list of article as well as one particular article to read it. Okay, but over here the problem is we can't even open anything. So what we need to do is, instead of putting the resource over here, we need to uh, take those uh, for example, route or here that are related to, for example, those create, update, and delete, but read should be go over here. So what we need to do is we need to separate out those route from the resource and place over here. If you have any other way, please let me know. Otherwise, I am now currently go with a manual error prone way. So what it that means is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write get, then I'm going to type articles, then article controller, and it will open the index. It will run the index action. Then what I'm going to do is articles slash colon id and articles, and this will run the show action. So these two now accessible outside the login. Okay, so go back to the over here. Let me try if this works or not. Articles, and let's see. uh, yes, it is. I'm able to open this, right? And if I click on the show, it should also work, right? If I click on edit now, it will not work because we should have a login in order to edit that uh, article. Now here is a problem, and for that you may suggest me a correct way. Over here what we are doing is we are duplicating, right? Over here I have defined this route and this two route, but these two route are also defined within this. One way we can do it, like we will going to add the remaining routes over here. Okay, that you can do it, but let's go with it for now. But if you have any other solution, please suggest me. Otherwise the changes are done. Now what is next from the my side is I don't want to display this edit to the users who are not currently logged in. So one way I can do it is, you already know, right? To add the condition, and the condition we need to add it is in a, for example, show page, and here is the edit, right? So let me do it. So I want to write if pow dot plug dot current user, let's pass the connection, do if the login is, if the user is login, then display this edit URL. Okay, so if I go back to the over here and let's reload the page, it will do the whole reloading. And okay, something is wrong, and where it is. So what is the problem with this pow.plug.current user at the con? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have to add over here at the end. Let's save it and go back to the page. And so we also have yet another problem, and that is how current user is correct. We also have passed the connection, and what is the problem? I don't know. Let's see what it is saying. Unexpected. Am I missing something? I don't think so. So let's see or what problem is. Uh, okay. So here is the article and here is the article, but with a how this is should be with the capital. Let me go back and okay, so it is fine. Okay, I don't know how that this is added as a capital. Okay, no problem. So this is how we have added the condition. Now if I go back to the page, you should not see that edit link, but this has a problem. Let me show you. If I click on the registration, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new user account with a different email ID, and let's type user password so that we can register ourselves. And let's wait for it. Sometimes this might take a time. Okay, now if I click on this, let's say uh, articles, and let's see what happened. Okay, so article is here. If I click on this, so it will going to display that particular article, but you will going to also see the edit. What I mean is this edit should be only visible to the user who has created, not to whom who is logging. Okay, so we need to add one more condition over here, and that condition will check the current logged in user ID is the same as the one who has created. If yes, then only display the edit, otherwise do not. So back to the over here, I will going to add one more condition. If okay, and let's close this, let's add the do if I not, otherwise I will forget it. And then end over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to first check if the current user ID, and we know that we can get the current user information in current user and dot id equal to, for example, article, where it is this we can face the article, right? So let's copy this article and dot user underscore id, and let's save it. So now oh uh, okay, my mistake over here. Whatever. And here it is. Now we are not seeing the for example, edit link, but if I click on the back, we are seeing over here the reason why we haven't added that condition. Now let me click on the new article, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new article over here. But the problem is what it means. Wow, from where we are getting this? So first let's check what they are. So back to the here, let's see on the page, click on the new article, and we are getting this error. I'm not sure why we are getting, so let me pause the video and figure it out why we are getting this error. Okay, I think I get it. You can see from here the error is id equal to new. And what that mean is, if I go back to the, for example, uh, text editor, and if I open the router, what it happened is like it is matching this particular route, right? So article then something, and in our case it is correct. So what it do is it takes the new as a id, but id is a number, and we are passing a string, and that's why we are getting this cast error. And the reason why we are facing this error is because this is written before this one, right? So as this article this route match, it just executed this line instead of going further on this line. So what we need to do is we need to cut this from here, okay, and we need to paste it over here. But the problem with this solution is this two line will never going to execute it, because this two line already written over here, and we will never get the listing or showing page. So in that case we must need to destructure this, and let's do it. Again, I do not know if this is the correct way to make some route from the given resource protected and some route as a public, but let's do it. So first I'm going to do the get, then article slash new. This will open the articles and controller, and then new. Okay, new action. After that we will have the associated post method. What this will do is it will call the articles and then uh, create action. So this is about creating. We will also need one for the edit. So articles, then we will have the id, then we will going to tap the edit because that's URL we are opening when we are editing the existing article, and then we need to type, for example, uh, edit. I remember these routes because I have some background in the Rails. Okay, then after that put articles. Okay, and then for example id. Please correct me if I mistype something over here. So we are going to call the update action. While we are here, let me just for the sake of confirmation, I will going to add one more over here, because put and page are used alternatively in many cases. So that why I will going to add the article controller, and then again I will going to add the similar. The things are same, but the HTTP word is changed, and finally we will have the delete. Okay, and then in this delete article, then id, and then article, and then for example delete. They call it delete instead of, yeah, delete, right? Okay, let's save it. Go back to the here. Let's review the page, and I think now we should not see this error. If see if we see it again, I need to check it again by pausing this video. Anyway, okay, so we are not getting this error, but it is okay. It is now open. Hello world. No, let's change it because the hello world is already created. Now I'm going to this is career page. Let's save it, and the article is created. Now you are seeing the edit because this user has created this article. If I click on now back, I'm going to see the two page, but if I open a show or the hello world page, I should not see the edit because this article is not created by this user. So this is our blog with authentication. I mean, there are a couple of things remaining in this uh, article or a video. For example, we haven't talked about how we can reset the password. We haven't talked about how we can send the confirmation link to the user before logging into user. The design is not good. We haven't yet, for example, remove or add the condition over here that you can easily do it, right? And we might also add over here the information or the email id created by this the user id over here, that this particular article is created by this user. We haven't talked about how we can add a couple of fields in the